Hello everybody, Brad Johnson here, and I have another exciting video that we're going to be talking about today. And this video is all about rationalizing your spiritual experiences. So throughout many of the years of me working together with other clients all over the world, one of the many common things, is the idea of people trying to make sense out of these spiritual experiences that they encounter. Now, what am I talking about exactly? What people may encounter when it comes to OBEs, or again, NDEs, near-death experiences, visions that they may get in meditation, dreams as well too. And we try to deeply rationalize. We get very much into the story relating to what happened when we had an out-of-body experience, or what happened when we had an NDE, or what happened when I had this vision that came to me in meditation, or again, maybe like a profound prophetic dream. And I'm trying to make sense of it. I'm trying to rationalize how this happened. Here I am floating in the air like Superman, like a powerful stick man that I am. I'm flying through here, and I'm just seeing all of these visions that are coming together. It's like honeycombs. I'm seeing all these different things coming together, and I'm being told these things as I'm flying by, and I'm just trying to rationalize what all this means. I feel like I can't even articulate what I'm experiencing. What do I do with these visions? How do I try and bring them into physical reality for them to make sense? You don't. That's the whole point. You see, if we basically try to rationalize everything about what I'm here to do and what's my, one important mission for me to do, why am I doing this stuff? Why am I here on this planet? Why am I getting these visions? What is Spirit trying to tell me? Why do I have these beings appear in front of me? Why? And we drive ourselves nuts. We just see this ball of wire that just gets more and more twisted and just keeps wrapping itself around over and over again. And we cannot figure out about how to rationalize our spiritual experiences. And that's because you're not supposed to, right? As I've talked about before, it is your feelings that are going to bring you the greatest clarity when you have experiences like this. You are going to work with your feelings. You are going to feel what it's like to fly in the air. You're going to feel these different portals, these honeycomb visions that are coming to you in the dream space. You're going to feel what this being that's standing before you in your dream state is sharing with you. It's all about feelings. It's all about working with your emotions. You feel them out. You feel everything out. But we are so used to getting the alignment of rationality towards all that we are experiencing. And it goes back to an old saying that a journalist once stated, and that was, be rational about being completely irrational. Be irrational about being completely rational. It goes into that particular type of paradox. It means that you're not focusing entirely on the rational, and you're not focusing entirely on the irrational. You are being rationally irrational, or irrationally rational, right? That goes into the balance here, the balance of the scales. We are attempting to keep those scales in balance. But again, many people just want to figure out about what they're here to do. Figure out, trying to put it into some particular type of practical means. And that can be done, but it's not going to be done by this. This is not going to help you regarding your spiritual experiences. You cannot rationalize it. You have to feel. So as you start to feel, you're now sensing where these things are trying to take you. You're now looking into other particular forms of identity-based emotions that are looking to be cleared. You're helping to understand that you are multidimensional. It is not a singular thing that we are here to do, but it's a multitude of different things. Here you are in the center. Here's all these things that are important to you in this life. It's not just one big gigantic ball and saying, here I am, I just have to get from A to B. No. You are not here just to get to A to B. It's not even looking at it as a linear thing. It's not a connect the dots. Right? Oh, okay, I'm done. Hey, that lifetime is easy. I'm all finished. What do I do next? Okay? If we looked at something like that, where it's just a connect the dot pattern, or just going from A to B, you would have absolutely no problem. You'd do that singular task, and then you're done. You'd go back to spirit world. You'd go back home. But that's not the case. You have a multitude of different experiences contained in this cluster. Well, what type of experiences are you referring to? Your finances, your personal life, your relationships, your career, your travel, your own personal emotions of what you're going through, your own ego, right? It just continues to build and build and build and build, and you have all of these clusters of different goals, you could say milestones, that you are looking to resolve. And we have both major and minor milestones to accomplish. We have major milestones, that which is certain that you must experience, something that is non-negotiable. There's something you have to experience in this life. And a lot of that can relate to forgiving a person, to changing the way that you live, to maybe getting past the idea of money and materialism and coming much more into a spiritual life. That can be seen as a major shift. It's like looking at the tarot deck, and you have major arcana and you have minor arcana. Well, when you have a major arcana card that comes up, that's something that represents a very powerful foundation. You have to experience that. That's part of your dharma, right? That's a destiny path in that way. And you have that major milestone that you need to encounter in your life. But you're going to experience it in your own unique way. And then you have the minor arcana. You have minor milestones. These are negotiable. These ones can take different forms. They are transmutable. They don't even have to be experienced if you're learning the lesson. Therefore, the minor can basically absolve itself. So here it is as a big spark. Once you learn the lesson, poosh, poosh, just completely dissolves away. So what is being said here is not trying to rationalize everything. Spirit doesn't really care if you have a 1,000-page speech regarding whatever it is that you're trying to make sense of, pertaining to a dream, a vision, an out-of-body experience, or whatever. We put too much emphasis on these words. We put too much emphasis on rationality. And rationality is not going to be your salvation to understanding your spiritual experiences. Rationality is a very base frequency. It's very dense. Okay, it's not a liberation in any shape, way, or form. It's like looking at the chakra centers, right? We're looking at rationality right down here, right at the base. Whereas we're looking at the highest levels of spiritual fulfillment, the highest levels of spiritual enlightenment on the highest rung of that ladder. But when we get to rationality, we have been taught as a culture, bring it up here. And then the idea of your feelings, your intuition, your emotions, bring it down here. We have put the cart before the horse. And that's why we're so confused. We have made the idea of rationality into a religion. This is again what many modern scientists are all about. They're all about that aspect of rationality, of practicality. They have to put it on a pedestal and worship it like a god. And again, the more practical you are, and you're writing all these equations, and you're completely obedient to the idea of atheism or whatever it may be, well, then you're at the top merit as a master scientist in that way. And that's where, again, we get confused. because we put so much energy in trying to make sense of everything. But here's the thing. When you are going into these deep visions, these out-of-body experiences, these visions and meditation, prophetic dreams, you are trying to make sense out of something that exists entirely in a different dimension. Okay, you are here in your physical dimension. So I would ask you, regarding this flying vision example, did you experience that in this physical reality? No, you did not. So why are you trying to rationalize something that did not even take place in this dimension? Oh, I haven't thought about that. That's it. It goes to the example of, here we are as a little square. And we get a dream of being a cube. And we are spending so many years trying to figure out how did that happen? How did I have like depth? How did this take place? What's going on? How could I possibly get an understanding about what happened to me? But I know this happened, but blah, 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 blah. And we keep going for many years, running around and seeing this ball of wire just forming around itself. Stop trying to rationalize what has not happened in this dimension, because it hasn't. Right? We're not flying in the air. We're not going into a warp tunnel, seeing all these different honeycombs of visions and experiences all happening at the same time, non-linearly. We can't experience that in this physical dimension. So why are we trying to pull it in to us? Why are we trying to put these visions into us as a tiny little square, when in that dimension we were this gigantic cube? We can't make sense of it. So in order for you to go in and understand this, you have to work with your feelings. How did it feel in that moment to be this vast, gigantic cube? It was amazing. It was beautiful. It was just angelic. It just felt like I was free. I felt so much more spacious and so much more expansive than I ever imagined. Now just bring that feeling into your reality. Just bring that feeling. Work with that feeling. Let that feeling guide you. Rather than saying, oh, but how could I be this body? Or how could I blah, 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 blah. And then we get into the rationality psyop, right? The way we have been working together with rationality and the way we have been working together with logic, it's a psychological operation. It's a psyop. One of the greatest psyops ever made is basically to confuse the living heck out of people, thinking that intellectualism, rationality, and practicality need to be up here above the idea of your own intuition. Well, there's a familiarity with that. Not a very good drawing, but I don't think I can do it. Basically, we are seeing it like an inverted pentagram. Okay? That's what the inverted pentagram is all about. This is really the whole nature pertaining to modern science. The inverted pentagram is their God. The idea of spirit being turned downwards and going deeply into the underworld, while everything pertaining to the material has a place higher than spirit. That's modern science. That's modern atheism. That's all of it. So again, if we fall into that trap, it's the only thing I'm really good at is drawing a pentagram like this, but if we flipped it around, then of course we would have the example of this. We are putting rationality through an inverted pentagram. I'm sure there's many people on my channel that can probably do an inverted pentagram better than I can, but again, the whole point is that this is being flipped upside down. We're having that inverted pentagram where spirit is at the bottom of the ladder and the material plane is at the top. And that's the rationality. That's the logic. That's what we're putting as paramount importance beyond any other particular type of feeling, intuition, or spiritual understandings. No, rationality, logic, that form of cold science has to be at the top of the ladder. And as soon as you do that, you're in the bundle of wire. You're confusing yourself because you cannot rationalize what is happening in another dimension beyond this physical plane. This physical plane is its own dimension, is its own density. When you go up into these higher states of consciousness, you're not aligning to this dimension. You're going elsewhere. So why are you trying to rationalize something that does not happen within this physical reality dimension? You're walking backwards. You're walking in circles backwards. So now we are starting to understand, well, what I do know very strongly is what my feelings or what my emotions are telling me about that experience. That's what you want to use. We want to learn to become much more of an empathic society, not a rational, heavily logical society, okay? There is nothing wrong with rationality. There is nothing wrong with logic. We have simply put it into a place where it does not belong. It's this giant piece of the puzzle, and we're trying to smash it into an area of the puzzle picture where it doesn't belong. We need to take that piece out. We need to put it back where it belongs. The idea of rationality needs to know its role and return back to where it belongs. It needs to go down here. It's a base frequency. It's the idea that we are simply working together with karma. The idea of our actions is a very base frequency. So again, that's where rationality comes together, because we're applying something that pertains to action within this physical reality. And that's where the intellectual, that's where the idea of our connecting to the physical form and applying what we are doing here in this physical reality to actually make sense. Our actions become the point to where our logic in that sense is governed. So yes, logic does have a place. Rationality certainly has a place, but it is not at the top of the ladder. It's at the bottom. That's where it belongs. It's a base frequency. Intellectualism is very dense. But when you start working with your intuition, when you start working with the highest degrees of intelligence, when you start working with God mind, when you start working with God's spirit, you're moving up past all of these thresholds and you're coming to the Most High. And now you form a relationship with God's spirit, and now you start walking with God's spirit, will, and mind. And that is what's going to accelerate you. That is what's going to put all the pieces in order. It's Spirit's work to sort all of this out. It's not yours. You have to stop learning to control everything throughout physical reality and putting all of these traps and obstacles and hurdles in your way, because you're trying to control something that you don't have control over. That's why you keep slipping. That's why you keep falling. That's why you keep trying to over-rationalize about what you're going through spiritually. Rationality and spirituality don't mix. So again, when we see the true aspect of the pentagram moving up here where spirit is paramount, and then the elements work together below spirit to cooperate, it is a symbiosis. This is the queen of the beehive. These are the drones. These are the workers. These are the ones that are putting things together to abide by that queen bee's will. And that queen bee is God's spirit. And so we are working with the material world to follow where spirit is guiding us. That's what's going to make sense. That's what's going to pull you out of this rationality overload, where you try to make sense of all these things, and you can't. You have to work with your feelings. You have to work with your emotions. And you let your feelings, you let your emotions, once they are harmonized, to lead the way, right? This comes back into the BCR technique. This comes back into the happiness lists, to the silver lining agreement, right? We keep doing that because as we start to put love into ourselves, we start to culminate it, it becomes intense. We turn it into a servant. Servant says, Master, how may I serve you today? I want to clear this out. I'm ready to let it go. I want to clear this out. Let it be done. Done. Now we start feeling this relief. What did we have to do? All we had to do was stop holding on to something that we feel we're trying to control. Other people, other environments, other situations, other people's destinies, whatever it may be. Clear all that out. Stop holding on so much. Let it be free. And now you put that command with all this love energy flowing through you. Within seconds, you're feeling better. Within seconds, you feel amazing. As I said, everybody who's watching this video right now should be tuning in to the most important video on my channel, demonstration of the BCR technique, and doing that. See, with that video, we're not doing any of this. We're not doing any rationalizing. We're not trying to make sense out of something pertaining to our spiritual nature. We're working with love. We're cultivating it. We're going into our memories. We're going into our feelings. We're going into our emotions. We're looking at something that excites us, that makes us feel blissful, joyful. And we're empowering that. We're making it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And now we're cultivating it into a love servant, just like a butler, right? How may I serve you today, Master? This is what I want to clear out. This is what I want to release from my being. Let it be done. Okay. Within seconds, you feel it. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, it all works. That's how powerful love energy is. And it does not involve any particular type of rationality or over-explanation. The only rationality you are experiencing is the command you're giving. And now the command is done, and now you receive, because you have bonded with love energy. You have bonded with spirit by going into that, right? And try it for yourself. You are the proof of the pudding. So this is what I want to share pertaining to rationality of spiritual experiences. Stop rationalizing your spiritual experiences. Follow feeling, follow emotion. As you harmonize it, let it take you upon a path, and you will know exactly what you need to accomplish. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you again in another perspective of the now. Take care.